Hi. So we've got another episode to record this morning. I'm here with Emilia Rizzuto
Good morning.
of Get Real Health and Elderberry STL. Did I say it right?
That's right.
Great. And so we're going to talk about healing journeys, health coaching, and natural remedies like her wonderful elderberry syrup. So stay tuned. Let's see if we can get us both in frame here. That's always the challenge.
Okay, I'm selling my for you.
Okay.
Okay, and that goes on. Mm-hmm. Yours.
Thanks, Mama Ellie. All right. Good level?
Yes, as long as you stay forward, okay?
No, I'm not going to.
I know, I
You know
know.
that, right?
I know that.
Can you hear me? I can hear you now. Good to go. All right. Yeah, about halfway through. I drive Ellie crazy. She always comes in, she sets it just perfectly, and about halfway through the show, I'm like, sorry. I love you.
It's very in your face here.
Yeah, it's a little direct, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Making it work. Yeah, I know. Bad thoughts. Lots of, it's not that kind of show. Oh, sorry. I gotta shake the sillies out. All right, we have a lot of fun together, so yeah, it's gonna be good. This is Amanda LaPlante, and you're listening to Get Real to Heal on KWRHLP 92.9 FM. Here today is Emilia Rizzuto. Oh my goodness, I'm messing stuff up already,
That's
Emilia.
okay.
It's gonna roll right out. Emilia Rizzuto of Elderberry STL and Get Real Health.
Yep.
Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. How are you?
I am well. I'm
Good.
very
Thanks
well.
for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you here. So we had a fantastic conversation a few weeks ago about healing journeys, health coaching, and natural remedies, and so I wanted to bring that to the air.
Yeah, that's great. We had so many parallels, including even the name of our business.
Yes, we should go ahead and address that before it's really confusing for people. So how did you come up with the name for your business?
Well, I was trying to kind of come up with something that meant something to me, and I really felt like in order, like you say, to heal or to get really healthy, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be addressed. Like, you kind of got to get real. It's like, it's not just cleaning up your diet. It's really so many other things. And you have to get real with yourself and say, well, what am I doing in all areas of my life that could be hurting me?
It's amazing how similar the parallels were, because that's exactly what I thought. I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff I've got to get real about here. And it's not just, it's everything. It's that whole mind, body, spirit. It's everything. Yeah, digging in. So your health journey it's been a long one, right?
A long one.
Yeah.
Since I was a kid.
What would you like to share?
I'm happy to share all of it. I think it's important for people to know. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 15 years old, and back then there was no internet, so I had no idea what it was. I knew no one that had it. Basically, I was just told like everything in my life had to change, that I was going to be on medication for the rest of my life. Not to mention I was a 15-year-old girl, with a bowel disorder.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
talk about glamorous.
Uh-huh.
So, plus hormones, and I was put on, steroids, which mess up your hormones even more. So it was just a tough journey, and unfortunately for me, I did not go the healing route right away. I went the opposite, and I was just super angry, and I did everything I shouldn't do, and everything they told me not to do, and as I got older, I did even worse things,
Which I feel like that's a pretty common occurrence, right? Like for a lot of people, especially when they're diagnosed young.
Yeah, I think
The
it's a
tendency to
control.
rebel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was also a control thing, like, well, you can't tell me what I can and can't do. Or my parents aren't going to stop me from going out or doing this, or I was a figure skater, I was playing hockey, and they didn't want me doing that stuff because it was too hard on my body, and I was like, well, I'm not going to do that, so I did even more of that, and, was bouncing in and out of hospitals and off and on all kinds of medications. So it took me a good decade to kind of get it together.
What was it like to go through that? So you've been given this diagnosis, right? It's a big, heavy burden of a diagnosis, right? And then to not be able to do the things that you love to do at that age. In addition, how do you navigate that in any other way?
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't do it the right way just because I got super mad. I probably gave my parents a really hard time now that I have kids and I understand that. I just was constantly wanting to be out and doing things, and I didn't care what anybody said, and I wasn't worried about my diet, and I you know, because my doctor said, eat whatever you want. And my mom was trying. She was reading things on the side, going to the library, trying to find stuff. And I just didn't want to do it because you'd have to give up, you know, sugar and gluten and dairy. And back then, that was just crazy back then.
Oh.
Nobody was eating like that back then.
Well, and it's even hard, even now that people have caught on, I really feel like a lot of people have caught on, or maybe we're just in a nice protective bubble with the things that we do now. But, you know, it's still hard, because like my son, he's 12, and he's got the genes for celiac, and we've got some other things going on with him inflammatory-wise, and so, you know, he knows what he needs to do because he's seen me go through it and be able to put some things into remission, so he knows that these changes can help a lot.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do at that age.
It's
you know?
very hard. Yeah, because you want to hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
You know,
You don't want to be different.
Yeah, you
no
don't
one
want
wants to be different at that
no.
age.
And you don't want to have that burden. So I think we're just not mature enough at the same time to handle that information. And you're like like a toddler. You just have a tantrum.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I don't want to do this.
Some of us, even at this age, are still a bit like
totally.
that.
I still have my moments where I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I just want to be normal.
Right. I still do too. Yeah, and I have to, well, doing what we do, we have to live our mission, right?
Well, yeah, I have no choice anyway.
Yeah,
I live in the
right,
hospital.
right, yeah, truth. But yeah, it's hard. I have those moments too, and it's all about just getting that mindset right. What do you do to get your mindset right?
I definitely think meditation is very helpful, and
Same.
I loved bringing that in because I am like a little ADD where I'm all over the place. So it definitely kind of helps me focus, and I like exercising because I need to burn off some of that energy too. So I think that's really helpful.
Yeah. So let's back up to, so you got through the teen years, right?
Yeah.
And then what else has happened in your health journey? What were some of the things that have started to work or started to click for you?
So when I was pregnant with my son, was the first time I actually really started to look into all this stuff because I was pregnant and here I am back in the hospital. So I was, 3 months pregnant with my first kid, and you're paranoid as it is about everything.
Yeah.
And so I landed in the hospital with a Crohn's flare, and, my OB basically said, well, that's not my territory. And then my GI was like, well, we'll just give you more Remicade. And I said, I'm already on a lot of Remicade. And they said, well, we'll just give you more. And I said, is that it? So they basically increased my dose of, a treatment that is very toxic. It's basically classified as like a chemotherapy class drug. It suppresses your immune system. It makes you more prone to getting cancer. And I was nervous because I don't know that the research is really there about whether that affects, the unborn baby. So considering that was my only option, I kind of thought, well, this is not going to work anymore. And that's when I really started researching, and I immediately got, gluten out of my diet and dairy out of my diet. And I've never been hospitalized since. Just
never
even never
hospitalized since.
Mm-mm.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've never spent one night in the hospital since then. I mean, obviously when I had my baby,
Sure.
but not for Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
And once I saw
And
the
we're talking
difference,
about a disease that had been putting you in the hospital since you were 15.
oh
off and on.
yeah, off and on. Every time, because the medication would just not work as well, or it would damage my other organs, and they'd have to find something to switch me to. And eventually, you start running out of therapies to try.
Yeah.
So like the Remicade was not working as well. So at that point, I was on the highest dose possible for my size. Like they kind of measure it based on how big you are.
Yeah.
And so then what? Then you have to go to like methotrexate, or you try another one, which is even more toxic, and that's really all they have to offer you.
Yeah.
It's very rare you go in there and they say, well, have you tried these, diet modifications? And they just say, no, it doesn't matter what you eat. And I'm like, it's a bowel disorder. Does it really not matter what you eat? Like, it's affecting my stomach,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when I got really serious.
Well, and this is probably a good spot to give a shout out to your new GI doctor,
Yes.
Fred Williams.
Fred Williams.
Yeah,
so I've only seen him one time. I just switched doctors, and I specifically looked for somebody who was more like-minded. And when I walked in, the first, he offered me diet. He said, here's what I think you should do, and then come back and let's try it. Did not offer me more medication, said that he definitely does, use medication therapies and believes in, but side by side, it's amazing to see it working together.
It's really cool. I have yet to be to go to a GI doctor, and I've been to many who had that approach, and I had heard about him and heard good things, so I was really excited when I heard that in conversation. Fred Williams wants you on the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd love to talk with him some more about that.
Yeah, he's very plant-based.
Yeah, it's very cool. So now, do you mostly eat plant-based?
I do. I'm mostly plant-based, yeah.
Okay.
And, a lot of people say, oh, it's not good for Crohn's disease because there's a lot of fiber in there. And that may be so when you're first starting, or if you're in the middle of a really major flare-up, but you could even still modify, and you can cook the vegetables, almost making like a baby food, like pureeing them, cooking them, just to make them easier to digest. A lot of people do use bone broth, too. because that gives them protein. It's
Protein, glycine,
yeah,
things like that, yeah.
it's mixed, and all the healing compounds of the, like in my bone broth, I always use chicken feet, so the gelatin's really good too. So
Okay, I know that the chicken feet can make, because of the gelatin, I can't look at them.
You know
It
what?
really freaks me
I
out.
come from a Russian family, like Russian off the boat. I mean, we grew up eating cow's tongue, all kinds of stuff.
Okay, all right, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, all right, so bone broth, mostly plant-based. All right, cool. Now, I have Crohn's also, but mine was not nearly as severe as what you've dealt with. I had a spattering of various autoimmune diseases, and they were all just fun and problematic, but none of them were extremely severe. Together, yes, but anyway, I also found that, just for anybody that's listening, mushrooms was a trigger for my
You
Crohn's.
told me that.
Yeah.
I immediately pulled them out. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, we'll see then. Yeah, let me know. I do miss some mushrooms though.
They are good.
I
know.
really love
I was
them.
even taking mushrooms like in my tea, like medicinal mushrooms. I was loading up on extra mushrooms.
Yeah. The only one that I found, so I can take, I do take a supplement for just for brain health.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a few different things in it, and lion's mane is one thing that's in it. It has, I don't know if it's just because it's a very small amount, or if it's that particular type of mushroom. Because I know the proteins and various different components in mushrooms vary from species to species.
Definitely.
So that one seems to be okay for me. But anyway, for anyone that's listening, there's some research that's been coming out saying that it can be helpful to pull those out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what else do we want to share along that line? Or should we say more words on your health journey? What else has been?
Yeah, so I think that part of the health journey for me was when I started, modifying my diet, I definitely saw huge results, which obviously got me super motivated to keep going. And that's when I went back to school and started really learning about the body and what's going on and how's all this working. But it wasn't really until I started incorporating all of the other pieces. Like we talked about, it's everything.
Yeah.
So I started learning how to do tapping. I did Reiki. I did like intuitive courses. I did, anything just to kind of, because we all hold on to so much stuff for no reason. Just kind of clearing all that out and learning to quiet down and listen to my body. And it took all of that.
So let's back up and talk a little bit about each of those things that have worked so well for you, because there may be people listening that have never heard of those.
Tapping,
So let's start with tapping.
So tapping is a form of, basically I think it's like a meridian therapy kind of thing where you tap on the meridian lines saying something like, even though, I have this, I still love myself, and you kind of keep, so any kind of issue you're dealing with, you tap through it on different parts of your body, and it should stimulate the nervous system. And it really works. I've even done it with my son, who one time watched Ghostbusters, where I guess they were in a tub and it filled up with slime, and then he wouldn't take a bath. And he was like 3, and I was like, well, let's try this. And one session of tapping, I don't know if he magically forgot about it or if it was coincidence, but one session of tapping and he was back in the tub.
Wow. Yeah. So and I've heard really amazing stories come out of, there are a couple of local businesses that really help with tapping. Carly Black at Rivulet is really well known for helping small children with, so that came to mind when you said that.
It works well for children because they respond faster.
Yeah, okay. And I've used it myself as well, and I always encourage clients to go out and try that because, I've seen great results with it as well.
It's free.
Yeah,
and
why
it's
not?
non-invasive. Why wouldn't you try it?
Yeah. And then, so you also mentioned meditation, and I know that you and I both practice TM. Yeah, transcendental meditation. So what's your experience with that been like?
I have found that, first of all, it calms me down. I'm definitely wired a little bit kind of crazy, where I'm always, running around, leaving things open. I got stuff scattered everywhere. So I feel like it centers me, and it gives me a minute to just to go inside. I think that our bodies can tell us so many things if we listen. And the more we do that, the louder our bodies talk to us. So it definitely takes time to learn the process and get there. Like if you sit down for meditation for 10 minutes, it's not going to tell you anything. But sometimes I can sit there and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that before. Just things click in and ideas come, and I don't know. Same
here. It's like the creativity starts to flow, and I just relax and I settle in, and I've noticed when I open my eyes afterwards, it seems like it's just, I sometimes, I feel like I get sign blind in life, if you know what I mean. You know how you can drive down the highway and you can pass a billboard so many times that you just don't even know it's there anymore.
Totally.
So, or any kind of landmark, whatever, because I'm just in my own head, I'm in my own zone. And I get like that in life in general. And so I'll open my eyes sometimes after meditating and look around my room and notice things that I was like, oh wow, what has that always sat there? Just little things. It sounds crazy, but it's amazing how it just settles you and makes you more present in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and you also mentioned, what was the other thing that you mentioned? You said tapping, meditation, and Reiki.
Yeah, I started doing Reiki. I just think it's so cool. I mean, if you can do something healing for yourself, and I don't really do Reiki for anybody but people in my house. You know, my son likes it. For myself before I go to bed. So I just find it to be a great healing technique.
Yeah.
And again, it's non-invasive. It's free. It seems to work for me. So, and maybe it's just a part of relaxation for me too. I take time for myself to do that, and I think self-care is important. You know, you can't run around and make yourself crazy and then expect to feel good.
Absolute
It's just
truth.
never going to work. So just taking some time to quiet down, do something nice for yourself, and it doesn't have to be, you know, an expensive spa day. It could just be anything.
Yeah, anything that just nourishes you on a soul level.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How do you? So when you worked with clients, what were some of the things that you learned from the experiences that you had with them? Some of the commonalities, common problems and themes. Maybe some of the nuggets of wisdom that you pulled out of your experience there as a health coach.
Sure. So I think that a lot of people want to change. I think, you know, they came to me to talk, and a lot of people were definitely struggling. There's a lot of women who are struggling with thyroid dysfunction, but it takes a lot. You know, what I've learned is that if you do something, you have to really do it, because otherwise you'll be doing it for the rest of your life and never really getting anywhere. And that was the thing. The clients that I worked with who really said, you know what, I'm going to do this, they did great and they succeeded and they got a lot of benefit. And then the ones that were kind of, oh, well, I don't really want to do it, or it's hard, or it is hard. You know, it's definitely hard. So I always say, like, just do it once. Do it once and do it all the way, you know, and then you'll feel better. Or if you don't, it'll be doing it forever. So I feel like that was the biggest challenge with my clients, is getting them to actually do what was needed.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, so I've had this experience recently with a few clients who kind of came to me, and they were, I mean, clearly driven to want to make some changes. Something in their life was prodding at them and motivating them forward along this path. And then once they get in and they realize what's entailed, sometimes there's this freak out moment after the first session. And inevitably, a lot of times I have to have a conversation with them and say, hey, let's breathe, slow down. We don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
1 to 3 small changes every couple of weeks, and let's work along that path. We don't have to take it on all at once. People that are in a really dire situation, you know, may be able and may be ready to make those big commitments and take that leap forward. But if you're not, there's always something that we can do, and there's no problem that we can't work around. So
Absolutely. And I also think that one of the other challenges was the other people in their family. You know, because if you're the sick person, you're usually willing to do whatever it takes. You know, I've done some drastic things where it's hard to explain that to somebody who's not sick.
Yeah.
You know, when you get out of bed every morning and you think to yourself, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? You know, it's like, I have to get through this day and I have to function, and you're at like 50% from the moment you wake up.
Yes.
You know, it's a struggle, and so you're willing to do whatever it takes. But the other people around you, I mean, I can't tell you how many people have told me, so what are you eating these days? Or so what diet are you on now? Or I never know what you're doing. Or, well, I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm just trying to figure it out, you know? So be supportive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's hard. The people around you may not be like-minded. So why don't you just take all the medicine they give you and just do that? There's a lot of that still. And you would think that nowadays with the internet and all the information and how many stories we've heard, that people would be more into it or more wanting to try new things. And there's still a ton of resistance.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's hard. It's hard.
Just plain and
You know,
simple.
and the doctors, you know, I'm not anti-doctor. I think doctors are great, and medication is very helpful too. But, you know, the doctors don't say, let's look at your diet. Let's look at how you're exercising. The doctors say, okay, well, most of them are taught pharmacology. Like, they are taught what prescription works with what illness or what cream, or that's how they're taught mostly. So you don't, and they don't have a lot of time the way insurance policies are set up. So no one is going to sit with you unless you're going to like a functional medicine doc and paying out of pocket, and they sit with you for 2 hours and try to figure it all out. But even that's hard to find. You know, you really have to do the work yourself.
Be your own advocate.
Yeah, be your own advocate and take some personal responsibility. You know?
Yeah, personal responsibility is key.
Key.
It's key.
Yeah.
All right.
Bummer.
So I know, right? Oh, I wish it was easier, but you know what? A lot of that's in mindset. Healthy can be easy, I guess. It can't really be easy. It can be simple, in a way. I know that what I do now, although it takes me really understanding what works for my body and making decisions all day long to stay on that path, it's so much easier and better than it was when I spent all that time sitting in doctor's offices, sitting at the pharmacy, taking the medications, feeling the side effects of the medications, and I felt like I was on hamster wheel and I wasn't moving forward.
Yeah, I did nothing but go to different doctor's offices for a while. It was crazy. And you know what? I do always tell people, once you get to the other side of it, it's amazing. Like, yes, it is hard. It's a hard change, and your body has to go through a detox. It's hard. Anything that major is a hard change when you change your diet. But when you're there and you start to feel better, you get motivated, and then I just feel like you get better and better and better, and it happens faster and faster and faster.
You mentioned the detox. Talk about that, because I think that's something that a lot of people hit when they first start to make some changes. And they're like, I feel worse. Why would anyone keep doing this?
Yeah. Well, I think anytime you change your diet, you do feel worse, especially if you're pulling out sugar, dairy, all that kind of stuff. It's addicting. It's super addicting. It's more addicting than cocaine. It's just as refined. And if you think about it, it's a white substance totally refined from a plant. It's the same thing.
I have a friend that says there's 3 white substances that'll kill you. Cocaine, flour, and sugar.
There you go. Yeah.
Ellie's laughing. Yeah, our producer's laughing in there. She's like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, we feed our kids that from the beginning, and we're all addicted to it. So it's hard when you take that away. Your body is not happy with you. And so you can have cold and flu symptoms. You can be sick. You can, you can feel horrible. You can feel angry. It's emotional. It's physical.
Yeah, you're detoxing as you would from a drug.
Absolutely. And so, but we don't think of it that way. We don't treat it that way. So we don't give ourselves the space to do that. Like, we're still going to work. We're still living our lives. Whereas if we were detoxing from a drug, we would be in a clinic with a ton of support. Meanwhile, we're in our house, like, wanting to strangle everyone around, and, and you feel horrible, and then it's easy to grab a piece of chocolate. Like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah.
But if you just get through it.
And with it, right, once you get through it and you start looking back, it's like, wow, food is a drug. Food is medicine. Mm-hmm. They say food can also be a drug. 100%.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've had people go through, so I've had some cheese addicts. Which always sounds funny, but yeah, I mean, really. So if you think about it, in nature, right, mammals are born. They can't just wander off and survive on their own. Like, it's not like a turtle that's going to wander back to the ocean and swim thousands of miles and be fine. Mammals really need to be protected and sheltered, and Mother Nature has built in opiates to the milk that they're fed. So what they're getting from mama is addictive. And there are opioid-like peptides in milk, in dairy. And so people don't realize when they're, getting that constipation. Mm-hmm. You hear about dairy constipation. Yeah. You also hear about opioid constipation. And people don't make the association, but dairy is also a drug. And so I've seen people go through, straight up detox symptoms from getting off of cheese. Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah. So, all right, we have spent a lot of time talking about a lot of fun things. Oh, yeah. We have not talked about elderberry syrup.
Yes.
Why should people care about elderberry syrup, Emilia?
So I started making elderberry syrup for my family just as an immune booster, just trying prevention from getting sick, and it's a great product. We use local Missouri berries, and so we're supporting the community here as well, and we have local raw honey, which is anecdotally good for allergies as well, and great for the throat.
And you have a special way of putting that into the elderberry syrup.
We do. So it's really, I don't know if people know, a lot of people put honey in tea. Well, if you're putting raw honey in hot liquid, you're basically destroying all of its benefits, medicinal benefits, all the enzymes, and it's turning into sugar. So you want to never heat honey above 118 degrees. So we actually have a chiller. We cool our syrup first to 120, and then, by the time we kind of get the honey in, it's at about 115, and so then the honey is preserved. Like, you don't ruin the honey.
So cool. And I did not know that until you told me that, and we were talking. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. So elderberry has antiviral benefits, and people have been using elderberry syrup
Forever, yeah, especially in Europe. So antiviral, yes, but besides, everyone thinks of it as for cold and flu remedies, but it's not just for that. It's also super high in antioxidants, higher than blueberries even.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So great for free radical damage. Antioxidants, really good for, and antioxidants help build collagen production. They're great for your skin too. So anything that, makes you younger as well. So, and lots of vitamin A, iron, super high in iron, which is kind of surprising. Huh. Potassium. Yeah, so not just for colds and flus. Also, we put fresh ginger, organic fresh ginger, organic whole clove, and organic Ceylon cinnamon, which is different from cassia. That's like a whole separate conversation.
Okay.
And so it's anti-inflammatory, it's antiviral, antifungal, has so many great properties, not just for the cold and flu.
Well, I know our family's been enjoying it.
Great.
Yeah, I love it. It's really good. They were a little scared because elderberries are bitter. I've had elderberry tea at home. Yeah. Right? And so they tried, and they're like, okay, we want more of this. This is good. We'll take this every day. Yeah. So where can they find elderberry syrup, your Get Real Health elderberry syrup?
Oh, it's in locations all over now. We've got Elderberry Place in O'Fallon. We have Natural Wayne Fenton Symbol, which is in Chesterfield and in Kirkwood. Ulm Turtle. We have Patterson Farm, LB's General Store, the in St. Charles, Optima Nutrition. I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch. We're spreading out now. We'll be at Radiance Float Spa. We'll be at a medicine shop in Lake St. Louis. So it's starting to. We've got a bunch of locations in Wildwood, the Miller House and Wildwood CrossFit.
Very cool. Well, congratulations
Thank
on all the
you.
growth and its success. And if people want to reach out to you online or find you,
Sure, just on Facebook is probably the easiest way at Elderberry STL. And just message us, let us know if you have any questions. We'll direct you to the stores, we'll answer anything, we'll chat with you.
great. Emilia Rizzuto, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Amanda LaPlante. You've been listening to Get Real to Heal on KWRH-LP 92.9 FM. For more information, find me online at amandalaplante.com or on facebook.com/getrealtoheal. For this and other episodes, check us out on soundcloud.com/getrealtoheal. And if you'd like to reach out to me by phone, it's 314-583-6749. Make it a great day.
That was fast.
It goes by really fast,
gosh,
doesn't it?
yeah.
26 minutes in a blink. Yeah,
Wow.
that was so fun. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And I could talk to you all day.
I know, we can talk about this.
We'll do it again
on and
sometime.
on and on. I do have for you,
Oh, here, let me shut this off.
oh, sorry.
Thanks for watching. Hi, Angela.